This is Monday Motorsport with Lester Forbes on Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. This is Monday Motorsport on Motorsport Radio. I am Lester. This is, we are live again for another Monday of racing action and talking about racing various stuff. And it is sweltering hot today, so apologies if anything goes wrong, like I pass out on the show. That's definitely not intended or planned. But anyway, coming up on tonight's programme, we've got a big Le Mans 24-hour talk and a big debrief about everything that happened in the big race, the biggest race in the world. We'll be talking about that with our expert panel who are coming up in just a moment. And also, we'll be talking about the 2018 Formula 1 calendar, which has been released today, and also the Formula E calendar. There was a big party over at the FIA, and they churned out a few calendars for next season, all at one go. And, we'll be digging through those. And also, later, we'll be talking about Pippa Mann's big rant that she had online today regarding sexism, which is still seemingly rife within motorsport. I'll tell you about what happened and why, and you might even be a bit shocked. That's all I'll say. Stay tuned. We'll tell you exactly what's happened to get Pippa Mann furious enough to write a big, fiery blog post on the internet today. I'll tell you about that a bit later. And also, later on, we'll be having Kiko Alexander-Giles on the show to talk about BSB. He was at Knockhill all of the weekend to enjoy some BSB action, and we'll be getting him on the show a little later to tell us all about it, really. But for now, coming up, it's our panel. Please welcome Dan Marr. He has a logo, he has a name, his name's Dan Marr, and Connor Jackson as well from the Checkered Flag website, and also podcast host for the Slipstream Network. Hello, good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Connor says hello as well. He's stunned into silence.
Hey Lester, how are you doing?
Oh, he is. Oh, there. Yes. Hi, Connor. Yes. Hello and welcome. We're doing things slightly differently. Not that you probably know it. To how we've done it previously. So any technical problems, which obviously never happen, because we're total pros, then I'm going to blame a slightly different way of doing things. But again, it's designed so you don't even know about it. But anyway, moving swiftly on, because we're going to talk some Le Mans 24 hours. And if you went to sleep yesterday afternoon, safe in the knowledge of knowing that you already knew the podium positions, well, you don't, I'm afraid, because there's been some dramatic breaking news this afternoon, Dan.
Yes, indeed there has. The third place rebellion has been stripped of its overall podium after they were found to be breaking the rules with a bodywork infringement.
Wow. Okay. So this has come as a bit of a shock then. So when did this happen?
As far as I know, it's about an hour ago at the very least. It's not that long ago. But of course, it's a long period to actually scrutinize all of the cars after the race. It takes longer than 24 hours.
Yeah, sometimes that is true, and we've seen it before in other categories as well, other 24-hour categories, because it's not just, say, a 20-minute race or an hour and a half long race like in other world formulas, but it's over 24 hours, and everything has to be literally scrutinized for the full 24 hours. So if you break a rule in hour number one, obviously it's going to take a bit of time to sort through everything. So tell us more then about this bodywork infringement, Dan. What is it, and what happened? Okay,
so what I will say now then is... Okay, I'm going to turn myself down. What the problem was, the rebellion were found to be guilty of modifying a homologated part and using it partly during the race, according to a steward's statement. And the offence relates to a hole that had been fashioned by the competitor in the right-hand side of the engine cover, which basically meant that they could get access to the starter motor. This is the car starter motor, basically a hole effectively no bigger than this, just so they can poke that in to get the starter motor working, because it wasn't originally working. But because these LMP2 cars are now 4.5 homologated units can't be changed either. They've actually modified the bodywork to gain effectively a performance advantage. It's a sad thing, and I really wanted to see Rebellion on the podium, which was slightly ironic. But it's a shame that they've lost the podium, and they're going to be absolutely gutted with that.
Yeah, certainly. It's a... I mean, after what happened anyway in the race, lots of people at the time anyway were calling it probably one of the greatest ever, just like they did last year as well, for good reason as well. But yeah, well, for other things that we'll get onto other things, talking about the impending death of LMP1, which does seem to be impending, if not actually happening, before our very eyes. But
No.
we'll get onto that in a moment. Yeah, so who's moved up to third place then? Just remind me, because a lot went on and my brain is still a bit frazzled from yesterday.
Well, no, actually, that's just made it the second DC racing car. So it's an LMP2, DC Jackie Chan DC Racing /Sport 1-2 and LMP2 2-3 overall on the Le Mans podium. Isn't that an incredible story?
Certainly is. Definitely is, in fact. Yeah, because there was certainly a lot to get through with what happened in the race. I watched, I think, probably almost all of it, apart from about 6 hours, which isn't all of it at all. But hey, but yeah, I certainly tried to watch all of it. How much did you watch of it, though, Dan?
Let's not go into that and just talk about. I saw as much of the race as I could.
Oh, so did you not watch like any of it at all then?
No. I listened to the vast majority of the race.
All right.
And I tried to watch as much as I could.
Oh, because you didn't have a thingy stream, did you? You didn't have a legal stream.
No, because the FIA WEC app was having a few issues.
Yeah, that must have been the reason. Yeah.
No, it was.
Okay.
Genuinely was.
No, okay, fine. Yeah, it was. That was the reason.
Obviously.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
I paid good money for that.
That's another thing as well. I wanted to actually sort of mention about the hard-working, fee-paying public who paid money for an app, who've been ripped off, conned, and didn't get a good service at all. Well, didn't get any service in like your case, Dan. Yeah, I mentioned on our Facebook earlier today that it was a Monday moan time, time for a good old Monday moan. People generally just having a good old moan, I suspect, and why not? Because if you've paid money for an app, just out of interest, how much was the app?
So the app was, as it's just cleared out my bank account, €9.90.
Wow.
No. €9.90.
Was that for the full
It
season?
doesn't help when I've got a weird latency. No, that was just for Le Mans. It's $29.90.
Jesus.
I think for all of the races, but and well, I'll have a look. It's just.
Wow.
But yeah, I paid basically £8.50 for an app which didn't work. And they said they were having a few issues. The web stream couldn't cope with the traffic. Amazon apparently threw them a few servers to help out, but it just didn't really help me at all. And they did say, actually, which is fair play, if you are one of the people who was affected, like I was, they are offering, you can ask for a refund.
Oh, well, that's nice of them to stick to law and give people their money back after stealing it. Sorry, not stealing it, but not offering a good service.
Okay, before you then go on another, it is app248 at lemans.org. So APP248 at LEMANS. And that's the line you can go to go and request a refund. They'll ask for your purchase ticket that will give you the seat. But it's a shame, really. I was looking forward to being able to watch it on my computer, but it sort of worked on my phone, and that was fair enough. But I wanted it to work on the PC. That's why I paid that money for, and sadly, I didn't get access.
So with that one purchase price, the let's call it £10. Is it £9 exactly?
Well, €9 and 40 cents.
Okay. Well, with that anyway, so you can watch it on any sort of either online on the computer or somewhere else, I'm guessing.
Yeah. You get access to the phone app on iOS and Android, and then you also get access to online where they come with music as well, so you can watch the race, you can watch on board, you can bet.
Okay. I see.
It's good access. Just the issues they were encountering was a shame because it was the biggest race for. And obviously, you know, I was trying to watch it. It wasn't going to be near my television. I thought, you know what? I'd try the Le Mans app because it's full uninterrupted coverage, as opposed to something like Eurosport where they do have breaks in there.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they have different commentators as well on the app as well. Connor, who seems to have whose screen seems to have frozen on us. We've got a still-faced Connor,
Hey,
but I'm presuming he's still on the line with us anyway.
He made a noise.
That's good. That's always good. Connor, you watched and was reporting on the Le Mans 24 Hours for the checkered flag. Did you manage to watch all of the race?
Well, I should point out that, like Dan, there was a little bit of interruption, but that was mostly that I had to go to I had to go to work in the middle of it. It was quite a bit awkward, but I got through it eventually. It was a good race, and I had dreadful problems with streaming, but in fairness, I can understand people's gripes with what was going on. If you paid money for a service, you get obviously what you want to get what you paid for, isn't it? And I do know a couple people. I also won't name them, and I won't name where they got it from. But I do know some people who are getting streams from YouTube or backdoor streams, and if you're not offering a professional service, this stuff is going to happen.
Oh, I'm telling. It's naughty.
Naughty.
Who on earth would ever do such a thing? That's horrendous. Definitely not us. No, I didn't. I watched it all on Eurosport. I watched the start of the race actually on Quest, just because I wanted to hear. Okay, this is going to be really geeky. I wanted to compare what the commentators were doing, and this is increasingly turning very geeky. And I wanted to listen to David Addison on one channel and Martin Haven on another channel, just so I could compare them. That's not too geeky though, is it? It is. No? It is a bit, I think.
No, I can understand what you were getting at, Lester, but it's. I think you're just sort of being a little obsessive over a point. That's all.
Possibly, yeah. It's it's been said before that I am a bit of a geek, but there you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Is there, Danmar?
No, there's certainly nothing wrong with being a geek.
Excellent. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look at at various points during the start of the race. I think during the first few hours of the race, the Le Mans website actually crashed, where I was trying to get the timing from lemans.org/timing or whatever it was, which didn't help. So I presume whatever was going on with the website was also having a knock-on effect with the app. I'm presuming, but
yes, the app for me was working much better than the PC, where I could actually get the feed on. But the fact of the matter was, I still wanted the feed on my computer, not my phone.
Well, that's I don't know what to say. It's TV geekiness, I suppose.
I've left him speechless.
App geekiness. Connor, then there was a lot of action happening throughout the entire race. And I suppose we ought to sort of start with the first 6 hours or so. Lap one, one of the was it Ollie Webb from Manchester not taken out. He was taken out, wasn't he? On the first lap, within the first minute of the race.
I think he was taken out.
I think he was nudged wide, and then that
Well-
caused a puncture, and that caused something to happen, or something like that. What was it, Connor?
Well, in fairness, Lester, I don't expect to be doing a lap-by-lap coverage of anything. But as for the Ollie Webb incident, perhaps rather unexpectedly, Bike Collis ran into problems within the opening lap. They ran wide, I believe, and hit bollard. I think it was about turn 5-ish, which the bar flipped up and hit the number 9 car, the Toyota, which caused damage on the Toyota. And Bike Collis ended up running into severe problems within the opening hour or so. And I think by about hour 3, they were already out of the race, which was very disappointing from the LMP1's only sort of privateer team.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. Dan, what did you make of the opening first few laps? Not that we're going to go through lap by lap, but I suppose notable incident by notable incident.
I'm afraid I couldn't watch this bit because obviously the stream wasn't working. I was listening to it on Radio Le Mans, but from my interpretation, they were saying number 3 found the number 8, which is, for those of you who might not know Le Mans that well, that sounds like hot. I think hot LMP privateer on Toyota LMP manufacturer action, and then later on. It broke down.
Yeah, certainly did. I'm just trying to have a quick look at the amended results here on their website, on the lemans.org. Big button that says results. I'm always slightly apprehensive about using the website, to be honest, because it's always, do I dare say it?
I think.
Go on.
Shall we stop berating their website too much? Because that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the race.
I'm a consumer, just like everybody else, and I'm trying to consume information from their website. So,
true.
There. And, yeah, right, here we go. Final classification summary. And, so the overall... So, the Rebellion car that was excluded, disqualified, if the two aren't different. Were they just excluded from the overall, from their class thing? Actually, the result I'm looking at hasn't been amended with the...
surely if they're disqualified, surely they're disqualified sort of from the whole race.
Yes.
Perhaps. Yeah, I would probably think so. Okay. So Jackie Chan got 2 podiums then, double podium for Jackie Chan. Who'd have ever thought that? Alex Brundle, Cheng and Garmendy on the podium. Sorry, Connor, go on.
Good result.
I think it's great for LMP2 to have. I think it's great for LMP2 to have 2 different teams on the podium. But obviously, it all comes down to an issue of was it good for LMP1, and I don't know what caused the massive issues for effectively all the LMP1 cars. I mean, even the number 2 that won the race had issues early on, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But it's if your top class of racing can't make the full 24 hours, then there has to be an investigation or some sort of report drawn up on why these cars were struggling compared to what were effectively quite similar P2 cars that could make the end of the race, and a lot of them didn't even run into any issues. I mean, I know the DC Racing did run off towards the end, but Rebellion were very reliable throughout, as were Signatech until their problems late on, and it was only really driver error that really held people back.
Dan?
I think that's a little bit unfair on LMP1. You're pushing some of the most technologically advanced hybrid systems on the planet, which, bearing in mind, these are developed for the race circuit, not as an actual road car usage, is pushed as far as it can go, and it's always going to be difficult to get a car to do a 24 hours of Le Mans. It's always been a very difficult race for drivers, for cars, for everyone. And yes, there are lots, it doesn't matter the fact we only have 5 LMP1 or 5 LMP1H cars this year, but we've seen two sets of hybrid systems effectively fail, the front hybrid systems fail, which isn't unexpected with the greatest respect, because you're going to do what, like 4,000 kilometres around the circuit? It's a long way at racing speed. But the LMP2s, of course, the issue with the LMP2s, their new cars, didn't know how long they were going to last. We knew they were going to keep together, but we didn't know how close it was going to be. That way, it's always nice to see, even if you're in a lower class, you have a chance. If you stay out of trouble, run your own race, you've still got a chance for an overall result.
Perhaps, I would say perhaps, indeed. On a more wider point, though, with maybe Audi just made the hybrid era seem more sort of solid and stable, even though it never actually was. But compared to what happened at the weekend, certainly, I think a lot of people noticed that Audi had left, and everybody else's car just seemed a bit flimsy.
But we go back to the Le Mans for the last couple of years. And Audi
I suppose this comes down to. I suppose.
Oh, sorry, go on, carry on, Dan.
Sorry to interrupt, but as you say, we are going to notice that Audi aren't there because it's the first time in nearly 20 years when they've not been there. It's like every era where we have dropouts, it's going to be quite thinner, and it might exacerbate the issues, but at the end of the day, if you're going to push this hard, it's such an extremely tough race. It is a big ask to get a car to complete the full race distance, and we've seen over the last 3 years, you'll lose two cars through accidents, through reliability, and get one to the finish.
Sorry, Connor, what was you saying?
Well, in response to Dan's point, I know you say cars will drop out, and that's fine, and that's fair, but LMP2 had none of these problems. If you say that it was down to the way the cars were built, then obviously cars in GT Pro and GTM and LMP2 should have ran into way more problems, but they didn't. It was only the LMP ones that ran into sort of major technical issues that weren't specific to individual cars. These problems with the hybrid systems were affecting all of the cars, and as you say, Audi, they might have made the issue seem the issues may have seemed trivial at first, but Audi needed the competition from Porsche, from Peugeot back in the day, to push themselves forward. And I think without a big competitor like Audi to push Toyota and Porsche forward, they don't bother to compete each other as much, because there isn't as much stake on the line anymore. People don't, and as much as I hate to say it, you could argue that with Audi gone, the race doesn't have as much impact as it once did.
I completely disagree.
Ooh, Dan disagrees. Why?
Because it is a big loss to Audi. We go back to 2016. The R18 finished 4th and 3rd. 2015, 3rd, 4th, and 7th. 2014, 2nd, 1st, and a retirement. They're always going to be there or thereabouts. But we didn't miss the competition. Toyota had but similar hybrid reliability. Of course, they're different types of hybrid system, and LMP2 aren't as complex. Neither are the GT Pro and the GT AM cars. And it's a bigger leap for GT AM this year because they're starting to use the 2016 regulations. But it's all coming through. As we see, Toyota hit the self-destruct button in the dark, in the night, back to 2014. Porsche, one of them just conked out with the slipping clutch, which we saw with Toyota last year, which isn't a specific fault with a hybrid system. That's a kid. And then I can't recall what happened to the other Porsche, of course the other Porsche won. There's only 2 this year, but that had spent an hour in the pit lane. So you're going to get issues, but it's not separate to. And we're going to be using all kinds of motor racing, in endurance motor racing, I should say.
I know what you're saying, Dan, but it does come down to a fact that I think we all have very short-term memories of last year, and I know there was the big issue with Toyota on the last 3 minutes last year, but we've got to remember.
Connor? Oh, he's gone.
We've lost him.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I was literally just actually paying attention, and I wasn't over the other side of the room. No, I was just setting up a light so I could shine in my face. Actually, using a phone. High technical stuff. No, there's Connor. He's back again. He's back and he's reset himself. Sorry, Connor. You were cut down mid-flow in your prime. What was you were saying? Something about cars.
Audi were very dominant last year, and I think a lot more dominant than I think we forget about. But the entire era had just been sort of the Audi's domination to own, and I think that was the problem, that they didn't have the competition, and so when they did pull out, no one had an incentive for competition for LMP1, and I kind of agree with Dan on some points, but ultimately it does come down to a case of Audi made the class, and without Porsche stepping up the game, without Toyota really developing their own hybrid system to an extent, the class is falling behind, and you need that development within LMP1 in order to grow into something that can compete with LMP2, because now we're having these discussions on, LMP2 is going to die, because the teams aren't competing as they would in any other racing series, because there isn't the competition, and you need the competition, and that's what Audi provided.
Well, that's what we're looking at next year with the LMP1P. The lightweight cars, effectively.
But the problem is, even if these take off, it's not top class, and it brings back the whole issue of what happened to GT1, what happened to GT2, and why GT3 is the top GT class now. The whole point of having LMP1 was it was the very best of racing with no limitations rules, or at least very little at least, and this was beneficial to the world of motorsport. And if we're having to regulate it to sort of effectively DPI cars, if you're an American audience, then there needs to be points of, are we really sort of developing endurance racing to the best of its own ability if you're already limiting the top class?
Well, they're not really limiting the top class, though. They're limiting in terms of the amount of hybrid electricity they're allowed to use per lap. But it is loose in the regulations. Can be somewhat tightly defined, but it is still looser in the regulations and stuff like Formula 1 hybrids. And this is directly transferable stuff. I mean, the electronics and hybrid systems we're seeing on the Porsches are going to be used on their road cars from just a couple of years.
Yeah, and we can sort of, again, we can make the joke of Toyota is just a glorified Prius, as it were, with their electric system. But I don't know. It's endurance racing, I think, is a tough nut to crack, because you need to have openness in the category, but if you limit it too much, it just becomes LMP2.
Is that a bad thing, though, to be honest? Because, LMP2 threw up a lot of surprises, and if it's good racing, then who cares ultimately about hybrids, really? I mean, was always just a manufacturer experiment, and as good as it was, as impressive a feat as they achieved with the technological advancements and all that sort of stuff, if we get better, closer racing, or just the same brilliant racing with just as much drama with the LMP2 cars, then will we even notice that there could have almost been no LMP1 cars on the podium at the weekend?
Well, I think that comes down to an issue of, do you value quality of the hybrids and a great manufacturing base, or do you value the sort of good racing that, say, a class like LMP2 had?
Dan, what do you think?
We've seen some Titanic racing though in LMP1. We've seen that really close throughout the year. LMP is always going to be a great battle. That's to get. This is what I love about endurance racing, is the fact that you don't have to be the top dog in order to win a race. Porsche in '98, they were it was a silhouette E car, but it still wasn't the top prototype class, and it still won overall. So sometimes it is literally a case of David versus Goliath. And we clearly saw that happen again this weekend, if not for Barnard and people putting that absolute balls on the line in order to get back. And it went astronomically quickly. The Toyota went even quicker. If we didn't have these technical issues, it would have been less of a problem. But that's motorsport, isn't it?
That is apparently motorsport, Connor.
Again, I just circle back to my same issue of it's trying to get competition over maybe getting development class, but I do see Dan's point with everything, but it would be sad if LMP1 left, because I really do like LMP1. I think, as Dan says, the racing has been very good this season in certain aspects.
Yeah, well, concisely said. There, well done. Overall, the actual results, which I did have in my hand a moment ago, is Porsche number 2 won the race, as you probably already know, which was the only hybrid still going, sort of, in the top 8.
No, that's not true. Well,
Jackie Chan finished on the podium, and the Jackie Chan 38, Jarvis, Laurent, and Ho Ping Tung finished in second overall. Magnificent achievement, I would say. Then in third place, it is provisionally the second Jackie Chan car of Chen Gomidi and Brundle. And the LMP2 Signitech Alpine finished in fourth place. This is all provisional, subject to the final classifications, because the Rebellion... I just want to clarify, the actual Rebellion machine, were they actually excluded from all of the results, or were they just given like a penalty, knocking them down to whatever position?
No, it was an exclusion.
Ooh, which is rare.
Well, it's only as rare as, when the rules are adhered to. Now, I'm not going to slate them, because obviously they had to make a change so they can actually get their car out there and race. But sometimes, if these things are picked up on, you're going to be disqualified for it. It's not deliberately bending the rules for a performance advantage. It was purely to get out there, but it was still a change of the car, which is against the regulations.
Yeah, and there was another interesting thing that I saw, which was on Sports Car 365, and maybe you already knew about this, but I certainly didn't anyway until I read it yesterday. Apparently, where was my little highlighted bit? The technical director of Toyota, Pascal Vassilon.
Pascal.
Yeah, the Toyota technical director, anyway, the team boss guy, you know what I mean. Anyway, he was talking regarding the Kobayashi retirement. Interesting. Do you know how he actually ended up with that problem that ended up causing the retirement? Do you know how that happened, Dan? Specifically, there was a particular reason. Well, according to the Toyota boss, Kobayashi pitted for a routine service while under the race's second safety car, apparently, and before leaving the pits at pit exit, the one queue of cars under the one of the safety cars was coming past, so it had to queue at the end of the pit lane, and according to Vassilon, the guy. Kobayashi apparently was signalled to rejoin the track by a fake marshal, believed to be, he says, a driver from another team. The resulting stop-start of the car, apparently, caused I think it was a clutch failure, which ultimately put Kobayashi out of the race. A fake marshal, Dan.
What are we meant to do? This is... I've never heard of this before.
This has not been confirmed anywhere I've seen, anyway, and I've not seen many places, admittedly. But according to Sportscar 365, on one of the reports from yesterday, this is what was said, and this is a literal quote. If we were beaten by a competitor who had perfect reliability, we would say okay, and they were better. But they were not reliable. It's so frustrating. It's frustrating. He goes on to say that, as I just mentioned, Kobayashi pitted for a service under the second safety car period before going to the queue at the end of pit lane. And the team boss said that the driver was signalled to rejoin the track by what appeared to be a fake marshal.
I'm sure there's
is this even true?
Theories come out about this, but I'd love it if this just turned out to be like a number 2 Porsche driver.
No, it won't be.
I don't even know this, and again, this might not have even happened. But I'm sure there was enough cameras in that pit lane to, if it did happen, to back up his claims. And because I think most of the teams record all of their pit stops, and just in case there are sort of any infringements or arguments with the ACO and that sort of thing. But very interesting nonetheless. That's one of the more curious stories from the weekend. Certainly is. Yeah, stunned into silence. I know.
Certainly.
Incredible. Right, so anyway, this is Monday Motorsport. Sorry, Dan, go on. Get your point out there.
I was just saying, I can't really comprehend anything of the sort, but in weirder things.
Well, okay, fair enough. So you're tuned in to Monday Motorsport on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will have some Formula One talk about the brand new calendar for 2018. That's just been released today. And yes, fans of classic Formula One tracks, yes, they're going back to the places where you think they should probably be going back to.
It's Monday Motorsport with Lester Forbes on Motorsport Radio.
And we've had a development as well regarding ourselves over the past couple of weeks. And, well, I'm very proud to say, in fact, thanks to Dan Marr's efforts as well, that Motorsport Radio has been recognised as a pioneer of radio. Yes, this is a declaration on, well, sort of declaration. Well, the European Broadcast Union, very big union of broadcasting in Europe, have decided to bestow upon Motorsport Radio the wonderful honour of two things: being a pioneer of their brand new domains .radio, and also to give us a .radio. Right now in the entire world who has a .radio domain, so that's a nice thing to, I don't know, talk about, I suppose. But yeah, motorsport.radio, and well done, I suppose, for Connor Jackson, who played a role in making the coverage slightly more professional than I was able to make out all season, and to Dan Marr as well, who has a logo, he has a name, his name is Dan. So well done to both of you guys. Thank you very much for that. What do you think about that then? We're now pioneers of radio, Dan.
I know we are pioneers of radio. It's scary, but it's good. But it's literally our logo.
Yeah, it literally is. I think I'd persuaded them in when I was telling them about how much we love these .radio domains, and I really wanted one really badly. I said, well, yeah, well, of course we already have the logo, which says .radio on it. That's literally our logo, and our parent company is .media. We've already got that domain, motorsport.media, and now we've got motorsport.radio, which kind of fits perfectly well into the logo that we'd already had pre-made, in anticipation of one day perhaps having a .radio domain. Cool. Anyway, that's some domain nerd talk. But anyway, on to some other motorsport matters, because there was a big announcement today in Formula One. Connor Jackson, there was a new calendar announced for 2018, and there is a track that I can't remember being on the F1 calendar in a long time returning. It's a French track. They're going back to not Magny-Cours, which he's perfectly capable of doing, but they're going to Bernie Ecclestone's track, Paul Ricard, or Le Castellane. Paul Ricard.
Le Castellane.
Yeah, it's Paul Ricard.
Yes. As you say, going back to Bernie Ecclestone's circuit. No one saw that coming, obviously. But as much as we can joke about the sarcasm, no, the French Grand Prix will return next year at the Castellet, or Paul Ricard, as I think lots of people know it better. It's definitely grown as a major track in France, and it fully deserves, obviously, to host an F1 race. It did so back in, I think, 1990, if I'm correct in saying, and it did back in the 1980s as well. In terms of other changes on the calendar, we've got no Malaysia this year, amazingly. Malaysia, that's been around since 1999, was one of the very first tiltodromes. It's gone, sadly. It always, in my opinion, it always provided really good racing, and the weather was always a major factor for the circuit. But obviously, times change, and it has been here for 18 years now. Pretty much, I think Dan and myself, it's been around my entire life. But it's sad to see it go, but ultimately calendars move on. There's been a few sort of position changes as well, up and down. China's above Bahrain in the overall order. Baku has effectively taken Russia's place at the start of the year. Russia itself has gone to the end of the year into a back-to-back race with Japan, and I think for the first time ever, Formula One will have a triple back-to-back weekend with Le Castellet in France, followed by Spielberg in Austria, followed by Silverstone in Great Britain. So it'd be good to see the teams sort of move quickly between these guys, but it'll also be a challenge for more races in July. That'll be notable for a lot of them, especially for the smaller teams that have a little less budget.
Certainly will. Dan Marr, you are traditionally not the world's greatest Formula One fan, but yeah, I know you do certainly watch it. Is it a good move, perhaps, to go back to some of the classic European circuits? Maybe not particularly Paul Ricard, but still, it's more of a symbolic thing to swap an Asian track. Is it Malaysia? Asia? Yeah, an Asian track.
Malaysia's the one that's dropped off the calendar.
Malaysia, truly Asia, and literally replace it with a European favourite.
Well, Paul Ricard is certainly going to be an interesting race. It's a shame because Malaysia's, I always thought, the best circuits and some of the best racing we saw in Formula One. But I like the fact that we're going back to some older circuits, some more traditional circuits for Formula One. But I don't like the fact that we've gone up to 21 races. It's just too much.
Why is it too much?
Yeah.
Because it's an incredible strain for a start, because that means you've got to hire the people out for longer. There's less time for them to recover because they're going to be working for longer periods of time. There's less leeway in the calendar. So if you do get a big sort of damage, you could well struggle to turn it around for the next race during that triple head. And 21 races for me, why can't 16 races? I appreciate that's losing 5 Grand Prix, but 16 to 17 races, I think, is the sweet spot, because we're going to the point now where it's a bit like NASCAR. Someone mentioned a while ago, it feels a bit like NASCAR, where there's just loads and loads of races and they lose the feeling. Whereas if you have less Grand Prix, there is more time for big mistakes, and it builds up that tension a little bit, knowing there's less time to do it than thinking, oh, well, in race 4 out of 21, you've had a poor start to the season, but you've still got a long time to actually get through the season. Whereas if you have a poor 4 opening races, you think, oh no, I've only got 12 races to actually get this back up.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that the F1 calendar is a bit watered down?
It's a bit bloated. Not watered down, it's bloated.
Bloated and watered down. Connor?
It's not the same thing.
I do agree. I do agree with some of what Dan is saying, but obviously it does come down to ad revenue, I think, more than anything. If the circuit wants to pay for a Grand Prix, then it'll pay for a Grand Prix. Simple as. And we'll see that with circuits that will come in year after year and sort of left soon after. Look at India, look at South Korea, look at obviously Malaysia's obviously dropped off the calendar now. These countries used to afford great Grand Prix, they can't anymore, and that's what happens. As you say, I do think less Grand Prix would help, but I don't think we can always consider Europe the holy grail of circuits. As much as I'm pleased that they're going back to France next year, I think we're all going to be very disappointed when it comes to Paul Ricard. Paul Ricard itself is a circuit that isn't famous for its exciting Grand Prix, especially in other support car series. And I think when we get there, we're just going to realise that it's just another European circuit. In the same way, we sort of almost forget about places like Hungary, which, although are very much an establishment of the F1 calendar, been around since 1984, is not a Grand Prix anyone really thinks about as a major challenge anymore. And I think that's what's going to become of Paul Ricard in the next few years. We're just going to have another Grand Prix in Europe, and it's not really going to matter. Grand Prix in Europe do matter, but only when the Grand Prix itself is exciting and provide good racing, which is why I liked Malaysia. Although it wasn't a traditional race, the track provided good racing.
Really? Every time? I don't remember it. I mean, I remember
a lot of the time.
The Malaysians always find us with good late racing.
I remember like a few good races.
And I always thought that Hungary does as well.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Hungary's been a very plain circuit, personally. There's been a few like really good Grand Prix, and I think lots of us will remember Jensen Button's first win, but ultimately, Hungary is no more impressive than any other European circuit. I'm picking on Hungary, but ultimately I think it's. But ultimately, I could say this about, say, Spain, Barcelona. I really don't think Barcelona's got any major appeal to it anymore.
Oh.
See, I always thought the Austrian Grand Prix, whilst it is an impressive circuit, it's not that good for Formula One racing.
I disagree entirely. No, I think Austria is actually one of the really good circuits. Because of the way the circuit is, it's long, straight, sharp corners. It's ideal for modern Formula One cars. Okay, back in 1980, that would have been terrible. But modern Formula One, that's great. Modern Formula One requires you to have long, straight, sharp corners and very few twisty sections because no one can overtake anyway.
Well, the issue is these Formula One cars have got so much downforce on them, so much mechanical grip, they need longer corners to actually flow properly.
Is that an issue, though? That's just what it is. I don't think it's a big issue.
Longer flowing corners isn't helping the racing, Dan.
Well, you look at places like Silverstone, and we see the high speed. I mean, look at Malaysia as well. That was quite medium to high speed circuit as well. Really suited the cars.
I do think you're perhaps very close to getting on a big rant about the problem with Formula One nowadays, Dan. Which is...
Well, I don't even necessarily think that.
The problem with Formula One nowadays is that Senna and Mansell, it's not the 80s, and it should bring everything back from the 80s, because that's when I was young and stuff, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, no, this year's cars, I thought, are the best look in years. I liked the older regulations. The hybrid regulations, I quite like them. Some of the racing I thought was tremendous, but personally, I thought that the Austrian Grand Prix, I never really noted it.
Maybe in years past, Dan, and I'll agree, it's definitely on the old 80s stuff, but since it was renovated to the A1 ring, I think it was okay, and since it came back in 2015, I think it's actually been really good, in my opinion.
Okay. That's their opinion, I suppose, and you've got yours as well, and I suppose all are equally valid. Mr. Equal here saying that everyone's equal with their opinion, unless you're talking absolute nonsense, and in which case I will call you out on it. But yeah, just to give
Some
you
are more equal than others.
No, that's not true. He doesn't mean that.
I didn't mean myself, of course, which is usually what people mean when they talk about that, but not in this case. But anyway, the actual calendar is as follows. Obviously, it kicks off with Melbourne in March next year, and then, as kind of said, it goes on to China, Bahrain, Azerbaijan for some reason, and then Spain, and then Monaco, and then Canada, France in the Le Castellet, Paul Ricard. Then Austrian Grand Prix, then the British Grand Prix, Germany, Hockenheim, Hungary, Spa, Italy, Monza, Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. A lot of very bland, anonymous airport-style tracks there still, despite bringing one, I'd say, classic track back, a classic European track. There's nothing wrong with format. You can build good facilities around classic circuits, I think. Because for many years that seemed to be Formula One's, Bernie's big issue, is that we have to build and design similar tracks because it's great for the people who watch, that sort of thing. But there's no reason why, like Silverstone for example, they built an amazing new wing and they did it within their existing circuit. And now it's one of the best ever.
Oh, look at Interlagos.
And Interlagos as well, yes. Good point, Dan. Sorry.
Interlagos is quite an interesting circuit, but it'd be interesting to see if it can actually stay on the calendar in the next 5 years, considering the struggled motorsport situation over there.
Potentially.
That would be a shame if we lost.
Yeah, it'd be a shame, I suppose, for Brazil. But there are other Brazilian circuits available that you can actually go to, and that would be no bad thing.
Yeah, well. But not a Grade 1 F1 spec though.
They can. Well, okay, no. They could be upgraded. I mean, I don't think we've, apart from maybe 2007 and 2008 and maybe 2000, I don't think we've seen classic tracks, classic races at Interlagos. Maybe 2003, but that's when it rained and the drainage was a big issue. That aside, there's generally not the best racing there.
We have 2012.
I think that's the point, isn't it? We remember places like Malaysia and Brazil because because they rain, basically. I talked about Austria being a good F1 circuit. Austria's a good F1 circuit, and it doesn't have to rain. And that's the point of a good F1 circuit, is they need to be good in all conditions. It rained, it's amazing Grand Prix, because that's what happens.
Indeed, Danmar. Certainly, yeah. It's completely too hot. It's slowing my brain down now. The heat. I think it's fantastically hot. So apologies if I sound a bit tired. It's because we're all tired and hot and sweaty. And anyway,
I can't see.
And Dan's got light in his eye, but so have I. There you go. So anyway, I wanted to draw your attention to an interesting blog that happened today regarding a proposition that's being made to female racing drivers at the moment. And that is regarding a proposal for a new championship called She Championship. Have you guys heard of this?
Oh,
No. Well,
No.
it's about
No.
as sexist as it sounds. The She Championship. Yeah, I'll get the actual details for you in just a second. But before we do, I will be right back with some more fantastic stuff right here on Motorsport Radio.
This is Monday Motorsport with Lester Forbes on Motorsport Radio.
Yes, it is Monday Motorsport on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in to this. And we usually do this live every Monday, live at 8 on Tinternet as well, streaming all over the place. And providing that the Tinternet is in a good enough shape for us to stream. And fingers crossed it will be once again. But anyway, I wanted to reintroduce my panel for tonight, along with Kiko Alexander-Giles, who will be popping on very shortly to talk some BSB. Connor Jackson from the Checkered Flag website, expert journalist, is still here with us. And Dan Marr as well, who has a logo, who has a name. His name is Dan. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Excellent stuff. So yes, I was trying to quickly have a look for Pippa Mann's blog rant that she sent out earlier today, and it was particularly interesting because it is regarding sexism in motorsport. That old thing again. Yeah, I thought we had this debate and conversation that women are equal and all that, and yay for women and stuff, and it's not a thing, so let's not talk about it. But apparently, it kind of probably still is, with at least when things like the DTM Championship are still having grid girl galleries splashed all over their website, and even motorsport.com have, I think, taken down their grid girl gallery. Not that it's the world's most evil thing, but anyway, just an example, for example. And anyway, this new thing, I'll get to my point in a moment. So I can hear you rolling your eyes, Connor. But anyway, this new championship called the She Championship has been proposed, and it is about as sexist as you think it is, because I was having a quick look over the weekend about some of the literature that came along with this new proposed championship, and Pippa Mann was approached, regular in the Indy 500 British race, and now living in America and doing fantastically well. She wrote quite a lengthy blog post about it, and I won't read it out word for word. You can go and check that out for yourself on her website, pippaman.com. We'll put some quotes on it on our website, motorsport.radio. But this is according to her, and I'm quoting here. The gentleman who sent me the email was. So I should have probably skimmed through this. Connor's rolling his eyes because he's better at reading these things than I am. But anyway, it was a She Championship, and the idea behind it is that it's supposed to be an only all female championship to potentially rival and get females into the top flight of motorsport, giving them a ladder sort of thing, and it's widely regarded now, although some racers perhaps might even take advantage of it and actually do it. It's widely regarded by most people who have succeeded without the need of such patronising championships to be a bad thing, especially by Pippa Mann, who, as I said, went on to write quite a lengthy blog post about it. Dan Marr, do you have any opinions on this?
Yeah, I personally...
You do? Okay.
I don't think... Why do we need to justify doing these kinds of things, segregating people? Because it doesn't serve to increase diversity. It doesn't serve to say, look, everyone's equal on the same platform. It's motorsport. We're only here to compete. We're not here to judge you because of your gender, because of your colour, your height, whatever. You know, it's demeaning, as you say. Because then these people who go out racing, and be racing drivers, they then come out and are demeaned because they're being put into a category where they have to. People think they're being classified in a different category because why should they?
Well, part of the
They're not allowed to be equal. They have to be in a different class. That's just not fair.
part of the blog post that I was actually searching for earlier, which wouldn't appear on my screen, was, and this is a quote directly from Pippa's blog, please count this blog post as the start of #the resistance to this travesty that is threatening to take hold, she says. I'm calling on all female racers to flood the internet, post photos of yourself racing, of your podiums, your wins, your pole positions, and let everyone know that you #say no to segregation, and that #we race as equals. She goes on to say, I'm calling on all male racers who have raced with female competitors to share photos of you on track with them, on the podium with them, and that you also say no to segregation and we race as equals. And I think it was the last show that I did a couple of weeks ago. I was chatting to Jessica Hawkins, who was quite dominant in the Mini Challenge Cooper category of the Mini Challenge in the MSVR club racing scene. And she'd won, I think, so far, 4 out of 6 races so far this year. And by all accounts, she's dominating. I've not asked her for her opinion on this, and I did actually reach out to the She Championship, and I contacted the organizer, who is herself a female, and well, I'll read her response out in just a moment. But Connor, your thoughts on, if you have any at all, you're entitled to not have any thoughts, but if you do, what are they on this travesty that is threatening to take hold, as Pippa says?
Well, as I think I agree a lot with what Anne was saying, in that you can't segregate females in this sort of competition. You do it in other sports because it benefits them on a physical. It'd be physically a terrible idea to put male rugby players against female rugby players, and that's basic biology. But with racing, there is no problem with this because they're all competing in machinery. Machinery is the major factor, and there is no problem with strength. There is no problem with necessarily in endurance to an extent, and even with that, that's not really an issue because females can compete on an equal level with the guys, so it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have a female series because there's no need for a female series. There is no physical barrier. There is no barrier. There is, and it's just segregation for the point of segregation. And I mean, we've seen sort of segregated series in the past, not females, males, obviously, sort of championships that offer something different. I suppose if anyone remembers Super League Formula or even A1 Grand Prix, this was a series that was meant to sort of rival Formula One, challenge it in a sense. But drivers that entered this series never went on to Formula One directly. I know Hulkenberg obviously went through it eventually with various other series and then Formula One, but ultimately this was never competed with Formula One in terms of equal drivers. And if you're trying to have a female series, you need to prove that the top drivers in the female series are as good as the best male drivers, which you can't do because you can never have a female series that competes in the same level as Formula One because there isn't the interest from the females to make them as good as F1 drivers effectively. You can have a female F1 driver and she can get there on her own merit. She doesn't need another series on her own to get there with other expectations.
Well put, I would say. Yes, Connor. Certainly, there's nothing I disagree with in that statement. So, yeah, that nicely wraps that up. Incidentally, the quote that I was searching for regarding my reaching out to this championship, and as a top journalist that I am, it was only right that I contacted the championship for a comment, and I asked them regarding the story and made them aware that some drivers were not happy about this, and that we were going to at least talk about it. Catherine Bond-Muir, who is the championship coordinator, or I think she's actually planning the whole championship of the She Championship, or she's certainly fronting most of the backing, wherever it comes from, at least. But anyway, Catherine was the point of contact. And she says, amongst other things, in her reply to Motorsport Radio, that I'm sure you understand there are a number of moving parts at the moment, and we are still organising a lot of different things and aspects of the proposed series. I'm very keen to obviously come on and speak with us in a couple of weeks once they've got more details and once they'd like some sort of, I suppose, maybe free publicity. She says, more importantly, that we believe there is a really good debate to be had on what the best way forward for women in motorsport is. We believe the current status quo doesn't allow female talent through the ranks, and believing having an all-female series will give women the chance to earn a decent living from motorsport by giving them a platform to showcase their talents. Ultimately, we'd like to have women driving against men in F1. That was the She Championship's official response to that. But it's kind of a bit old thinking when I think now, in this day and age, in 2017, racing drivers who are not male have a pretty open and even shot at getting as high as they certainly want. There doesn't seem to be any actual barriers for racing drivers who are not male, anyway. But the fact that nobody's done it so far doesn't necessarily mean that they should be pandered to, perhaps, or patronised in such a way. Pipperman was very critical, by the way, on that blog.
But by the sounds of the response from the championship here, it sounds like they want to sort of get the publicity, get the hype around it, and maybe get the controversy, because that's what gets the ads, effectively. But that's relying that people are even interested to sponsor this championship, and if they're not, then you're just creating another sort of glorified national series with a difference about it. I mean, specialists exist. There's I can't remember the official name of it. I do apologise for the owners of the championship, but there is effectively a disabled championship for former for people who've lost limbs, basically. Yeah. And these cars are adapted. It's a good sort of small racing series. I think they may even do a one-off event every year, and that's great for the exposure of these people, because it's one-off in a sport that they will get access to. But there's no problem with access with females creating a problem you're creating a problem and creating a solution without sort of at the overall situation.
Damar, what do you think?
As you say, I do agree with Connor, because I like the fact that, as you say, with the disease-disabled people going out and racing with, cars which are adapted for their needs. We've seen them racing in full racing series, but for, as you say, women racing drivers, racing drivers, I'm going to use racing drivers who are women. There is no distinct barrier. There's no, as far as I can see anyway, there's no big places saying, you can't come in, you can't race because you're female. You don't see that in motorsport. It's fully embraced. We try and encourage people to go and race out there as much as they can, but we shouldn't be, as you say, as kind of said, we shouldn't be making a problem and then fixing it when we could, there are stuff like the British Women Racing Drivers Club. But we've got to wait, as you say, we've got to wait for the level when we get a hot racing driver who really wants to get to her game and gets it. I mean, look at stuff like Jamie Chadwick. At the moment, won British GP back in 2015, Formula 3 now, that was an injury, and she did fantastically well in British GT. She could have gone a lot higher in GT, and one day she might do, but with her ambitions at the moment, yeah, she might be struggling in her first year a little bit, but as she finds her feet in the Formula 3 cars, single-seater cars, and then we move up the levels, maybe she'll get more and more confident, more and more comfortable, and then, who knows, maybe she will make it to Formula 1. But as we say, we can't just clutch the stores. One day we will see this mega talent, won't we?
And you raise a good point actually with someone like Jamie Chadwick, is that female drivers that have come through the order through junior single seaters and tried to move their way up to Formula One, they haven't been stopped for any ceiling. They're stopped because bluntly, a lot of them lack talent, at least the talent to move up. And I don't want to bring up, because I have a lot of backlash if I do, but there have been female racing drivers who have tried to get to Formula One very legitimately, but they've struggled in their own particular racing series. And like every other driver, like every other male driver, they struggle to move forward and have to look at other types of racing. They've made it a lot further than others. Kavita made it all the way up to the World Series. And Pippa Mann, as you say, has competed in IndyCar and Patrick and NASCAR. These are successful drivers who have got there on merit, on meritocracy, and doesn't rely on the fact they're necessarily a female driver. But they also haven't been held back by the fact they're a female driver.
Yeah, that's...
Look at Samara Di Silvestro.
Well, what about her?
Well, she's had a very long and very varied career. She's been quite successful throughout it. But look, she's gone and done IndyCar. She went raced in Formula E. She's raced now in IndyCars, or what's it called now? The Virgin Atlantic Supercar Series.
Yeah.
She's been all over the world and done quite well. And an interesting.
And she's still doing very well as well. So
done lots of different things. Yeah, she is.
Exactly. Simona Di Silvestro, like you say, Dan, still actually racing in the Virgin Atlantic Supercar thing, which is pretty decent for her, I suppose. That's no bad thing. And also, I'm just trying to quickly remember as well. Who was it lately? Yeah, I think one person, and I always try and do the opposite of I don't think it's like reverse sexism, but it's trying to just be balanced and equal with everybody, and trying to notice when I'm potentially getting towards being guilty of giving a certain driver more publicity because they are because they're a minority, for example, like being a female driver, for example. And I'd always ask myself, well, am I giving this person the extra coverage? Am I giving this person the extra interview just simply because they're female, and what's the story behind it? Is there a reason for giving them? Like, for example, with Jessica Hawkins the other week, she's actually dominating in the championship that she's racing in. She's been on the podium, I think, in every single race so far this year. She's absolutely blitzing and dominating and absolutely hammering all her non-female racing drivers in that championship at the moment. Worthy of an interview, I'd say, and she could very well be racing in the mini challenge on the British GT bill as well at some point. But I think to potentially talk to and interview drivers who are just female just for the sake of it, just because they're female, and use it and say, well, this is another female who's racing. Maybe they'll get to Formula One one day. Yay, females. I don't really want to be involved in that sort of thing, just because it's a bit patronising, I think.
In fairness, you bring up the point. That's a good point, Leslie. You bring up the point of the minority. I think we all forget, but do you remember the hype the media had around Lewis Hamilton when he first came into F1? And he was sort of praised as the first black Formula One driver. We don't see it too much now because Hamilton's achieved a lot on his own merit. Congratulations to the guy. But you can't deny that he was given like treatment, if not by the sponsors, but at least for the fact he was a minority. And I don't want this to happen to female racing drivers. They need to be given the chance to compete on their own merit, their own ability. And as you say, you don't want to sort of give extra coverage racing driver just because they're a female racing driver, because that's the purpose of on a level playing field, surely.
Yeah, there is certainly a distinction. There is a difference, however, that I always make. And I've not found a better way of making this distinction. But the first of anyone to do, or the first of anything to happen, which is an unusual feat in itself, would probably explain, and you could probably forgive all the extra media attention and coverage. Like you mentioned, Lewis Hamilton in 2007, when he first came into Formula One, he was obviously got tons and lots of media coverage because he was the first non-white Formula One racing driver. It just so happens that nobody cares anymore. To be honest, he's more than proved himself as being a fantastic, one of the world's best ever racing drivers, and to even talk about that in the same way, this season would be laughable and ludicrous. So I think that was literally just put down to the fact it was Lewis being the first of someone to do something. And the same with Danny Watts, for example. He was, although he never got to Formula One, and it might still be a bit of a media hype if a Formula One driver ever does come out as being LGBT, just because they would be the first open, Formula One driver to do it. But after that, I really don't think it would be an issue at all, to be honest. That in my mind.
Yeah, anyway. I can see the first of someone doing something being very big, the first, but like with a female situation, damn it.
Yeah, go on, carry on. Oh, and he's got to stop because he has a lump in his throat.
Has a connection.
And that as well. Yeah, it's been a weird one for internet connections tonight. I don't know what's happening.
Let's not mention it.
Yeah, it's probably not jinxed it, but we've had a lot, let's say a lot of problems. It's an unfortunate pose that Connor's been sort of stuck with. Oh, he's back. Sort of, he's intermittently back. Yes, he is back. Sorry, Connor. Yes, you was launching into your graceful point, well considered, thought out point about the first of someone to do something.
Anything to something, yeah, that is obviously a notable story, but you shouldn't make a story out of something like being a female racing driver or an LGBT racing driver or a black racing driver in the case of Lewis Hamilton, because it adds nothing to them. It doesn't make them any less able. If anything, it just gives people the impression that they're less into it.
Potentially, yeah. I would say, I mean, the next female to get into Formula One, there will be a lot of to actually race in Formula One, not just a trophy person picked for PR publicity reasons. Carmen, I mean anybody in particular. But the first of any female to actually race, as opposed to just being shoehorned in for PR reasons, would rightly probably get a good amount of media attention. But after that, you're not special at all. Basically, you just got to get on.
It's a done thing.
Yeah, I don't mean that to mean or anything like that. But once there's already been the first of someone to do something, then the second person to come along, you're kind of not special, are you, Dan? No, I wasn't referring to you, but you know what I mean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go away for a little self-esteem.
I mean, once we've had one Dan,
but,
if we've had one Dan, the second Dan is like, we've had the first Dan now. We're allowed one.
Yeah, well, they don't have the logo, they don't have the name like I do.
Oh, this may be true. Yes, certainly.
But moving away from my ego, it's as you say, it's an interesting one because you're not notable after the first time, really. As you say, it'll become more commonplace, and this is what we want to see in motorsport. Mm. But like some things, there does seem to be a stigma around it that we can't do this because we'll only be seen as sin. We can't do this because people won't agree, or they won't trust us, or they won't react in the same way they used to, and they thought they would be around it. And it applies to a lot of different things. But it's about lifestyles and it's personal thoughts. It's not just beyond the sports. It's a very emotional thing, emotive thing. Yeah,
I mean, without wanting to, you can tell I've been quite cautious in giving my own opinion, and I really don't have an opinion on it, to be honest. As long as I'm keeping myself in check regarding not giving a certain people too much media attention, and for the reasons I said earlier, I'm always constantly sort of wondering and asking myself, really, am I concentrating, am I focusing in on this person just because, and why, and is it newsworthy and relevant? And you can sort of tell that the other media outlets and radio stations and online blogs that do kind of, you tend to see them pop up from time to time, and it's always like, oh, so-and-so, XYZ, are they the next Formula One driver? And you just think, oh, for God's sake, well, you know, what have they ever done? Nothing. Okay. Why are they featured? You know, just because they're female. Okay. Right. So you like females. We get it. But, you know, until you actually start winning things, let them prove themselves. That's what I say. Regardless of who you are, it would be my healthy outlook on life. Connor rejoins us. Welcome back, Connor.
There we go. He's back now.
There we go.
We'll have to sort you out with a logo and a name so that you can...
And a decent internet connection.
Yes. But yeah, we have been struggling quite a lot with Tinternet connections, which is annoying to say the least. So before we wrap up the show, by the way, I just want to... I've already mentioned that we are now motorsport.radio as opposed to motorsport radio and something else, some other domain. Yeah, looking forward in the weeks ahead, what have we got coming up next week? Any particular big national, international championships? I'm just having a quick browse of my diary, and I think we actually have another, what I like to call chill-out weekends, because I'm not doing anything. I'm not at any racetrack next weekend. MotoGP is coming up next weekend, as is IndyCar, Indy Lights, Formula 3.5, the Blanc Pan at, where are they? Somewhere or other. Paul Ricard, yeah. That's where they are. And
that will be their 6-hour race, won't it?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Because it's the last race before the 24 hours of Spa.
Exactly, yeah. And also Formula One's on from Azerbaijan. Can't forget that as well. What else is on next week? This week coming up. We've got the Blanc Pan, Azerbaijan, Formula One. Can you think of any particular good, amazing things that are coming up that I've not mentioned yet, Connor? World Touring Cars.
Yes, correct.
And that's it, basically. In terms of international watchable motorsports, anyway. And in a few weeks, we will be going to the British Formula 3 and GT Championships for their next round in Spa. Won't we, Connor?
I won't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He says with enthusiasm.
Yay!
Connor's much happier now.
Which reminds me, I need to book that Eurotunnel. I should probably do that, shouldn't I?
Book the entirety of the tunnel?
Yeah, well, I just want it all to myself. I probably need it as well. But yes,
Motorsport Radio.
I'll put a big logo on it, and we'll burst through a la Richard Branson, and there'll be like media and cameras and stuff waiting for us on the other side, and like, who's this guy? I don't know, but he's got a logo on.
Don't put a British flag on the front, because I don't think that'd be a good...
Would I do such a thing like that?
I think you would. That's why I'm warning you not to.
Probably. Anyway, but yes, myself and Connor will be reporting and from Spa. That's in Belgium, by the way. In a few weeks' time, for when the British Formula 3 and GT Championships go there. That is the correct way around, and it should be, by all accounts, pretty good. It should be a fantastic weekend.
It's not.
Oh, go on. Here we go.
Okay, 25 hours of Fun Cup, followed by / supported by the British GT and Formula 3.
That doesn't sound right.
I agree with Dan on this point.
It doesn't sound right to me at all, considering that we're not even going for the Fun Cup, which is fun in itself, I'm told. Yes, but we will be there.
Honestly, what art?
Yeah, the 25 hours Fun Cup race will be there. doing a thing. And they are a spectacle to behold at Spa as well. Are they on TV?
Only on Belgium TV.
Don't know. That's usually the acid test of whether a
Are
championship
we going
is...
to be able to watch the British GT and F3 from Spa?
Yeah.
No, we won't. So radio will probably likely be the only coverage we'll get of it.
What Connor said, yeah, basically. So before we all dehydrate to death, it's probably a nice point to end the show, I suppose. Thank you very much to Connor Jackson from the Checkered Flag website, journalist with there, and you're still doing your podcast hosting with the Slipstream Network thingy as well.
Yeah, we're taking a small break now, but we should be back pretty soon, and hope to see you guys back there.
Fantastic stuff. Check him out after you've finished checking me out. Dan Marr, thank you very much for appearing on the show tonight. And yes, not that much else to say apart from...
I have a logo, I have a name. My name is Dan.
Thank you. Sorry. But yeah, thank you once again for...
You didn't play the other one.
I do have that one, but I won't play it because it's...
No.
I'm saving that for a end of season show reel.
No.
I can't possibly reveal what it was that he doesn't want me to play.
I was quite disappointed actually.
Why?
I went through the entirety of Stetson and I didn't do one partridgeism.
I'm very pleased with that.
Well...
What do you mean you please? I should have done one.
I'm just having a quick look to see if there are any incriminating things that I can actually just play just quickly.
On a fun note, for those of you who like my reports, mine and Nick Smith's reports from the British League for the full season. Well, I wasn't at Silverstone, and as you may or may not know, there's a man called Tom Jackson who was there, and some people who do know me quite well know that I am a big fan of public transport vehicles.
Oh, he's a bus nerd.
Now,
yeah.
I like the British GTs. I like public transport vehicles. The one time I'm not at a British
here we go.
meeting, the two combined. And this is something I wanted to ask you, Connor. Is go on, tell us about it.
Well, on the one week Dan couldn't make it down to the British GT, there was a bus tour. Now, if any of you have seen safaris on the Super GT in Dan, then you know what I'm saying. A load of people are stuffed inside a bus, and the bus is driven around the silver circuit, and the British GT basically followed. And it was quite fun to look out and watch all these British GT cars while on the Silverstone track. I think it was the first time I've gone around the whole Silverstone track, so first for me. But yeah, Dan unfortunately got to miss out on that because various reasons.
Yeah, because he was working doing the covering the Cool Fab Racing event. But basically, yes, as you so eloquently said, Connor, that Dan Marr is a huge public transport fanatic / nerd, and the one time where he could have combined his two great loves of GT racing and buses. Then he was unfortunately elsewhere doing other things with motorsport. But hey ho. That's kind of life, though. To be fair, I missed out on it as well, so, you know, can't all get what you want sometimes.
More importantly, I missed out.
You missed out. Yes, you did. You definitely did. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So that literally is kind of it for tonight's show. Thank you very much for listening, or in fact being part of tonight's program. And we will be back hopefully next week, hopefully live, and hopefully we'll have a decent internet connection. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Dan. And we'll be back next week, I think, hopefully.
Look who we've bumped into. It is Sam Brabham. Hello there. How are you? What are you doing here?
I'm really good. I'm coaching Manuel with Fortec, so I'm glad the weather's
Good luck with that.
eased off. Thank you very much.
You're a bit tall, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Eddie O'Shea's got a slight gap over Evan Belford so far. Ollie Walker is he's still not broken clear. This is going down to the last lap, barring Axel God. Oh, barring Axel God, what a commentator's curse that is. Ollie
And the curse of the commentator strikes.
Ollie Walker has dropped it out of
And
the
look
lead.
how angry he is.
He is furious with that. Barring Axel God, well, I do apologise. Ollie Walker, what have I said? What did I do? Ollie Walker, I can only apologise here. I'm in almost tears. James Cook has got an advantage here, and it's massive.
And I'm not going to say anything.
And you know what that means as well? That means that
He's
battle,
back up. He's back on the bike, though.
No, it's not going to do anything. That battle for second place now means that there is going to be 2 bikes in that massive group that could get on the podium. That has done Eddie O'Shea's championship a massive load of good.
And Kiko Alexander Giles, welcome to the world of commentary. You're officially a member now with that.
Unreal.
Go on, mate.
I think James Paul managed to pull off a pole position, yeah.
Indeed.
Hi, I'm Callan O'Keefe, and this is Motorsport Radio.
You can have it till you can't take no more.